Welcome to the Knowing Show. My name is Christene Marie, and I am excited to have you join me today. We are going to be reading through Lesson 71 in A Course in Miracles. But before we dive in, we will just do a quick recap of some of the preceding lessons. All right. Lesson 45, God is the mind with which I think. Lesson 46, God is the love in which I forgive. Lesson 47, God is the strength in which I trust. Lesson 48, there is nothing to fear. Lesson 49, God's voice speaks to me all through the day. Lesson 50, I am sustained by the love of God. Lesson 61, I am the light of the world. Lesson 62, forgiveness is my function as the light of the world. Lesson 63, the light of the world brings peace to every mind through my forgiveness. Lesson 64, let me not forget my function. Lesson 65, my only function is the one God gave me. Lesson 66, my happiness and my function are one. Lesson 67, love created me like itself. Lesson 68, love holds no grievances. Lesson 69, my grievances hide the light of the world in me. Lesson 70, my salvation comes from me. Lesson 71, God's plan for salvation will work. Lesson 72, holding grievances is an attack on God's plan for salvation. Lesson 73, I will be light. Today we are considering the will you share with God. There is nothing the same as the ego's idle wishes. This is not the same as the ego's idle wishes, out of which darkness and nothingness arise. The will you share with God has all the power of creation in it. The ego's idle wishes are unshared and therefore have no power at all. Its wishes are not idle in the sense that they can make a world of illusions in which your belief can be very strong, but they are idle indeed in terms of creation. They make nothing that is real. Idle wishes and grievances are partners or co-makers in picturing the world you see. The wishes of the ego give rise to it, and the ego's need for grievances, which are necessary to maintain it, peoples it with figures that seem to attack you and call for righteous judgment. I'm going to start that paragraph over because that's so powerful. Idle wishes and grievances are partners or co-makers in picturing the world you see. The wishes of the ego gave rise to it, and the ego's need for grievances, which are attacks, which are necessary to maintain it, peoples it with figures that seem to attack you and call for righteous judgment. These figures become the middleman the ego employs to traffic in grievances. They stand between you and your awareness and your brother's reality. Beholding them, you do not know your brothers or yourself. Your will is lost to you in this strange bartering in which guilt is traded back and forth and grievances increase with each exchange. Can such a world have been created by the will of the Son of God shares with his Father? Did God create disaster for his Son? Creation is the will of both together. Would God create a world that kills himself? Today we will try once more to reach the world that is in accordance with your will. The light is in it because it does not oppose the will of God. It is not heaven, but the light of heaven shines on it. Darkness has vanished. The ego's idle wishes you have been withdrawn. Yet the light that shines upon this world reflects your will, and so it must be in you that we look for it. Your picture of the world can only mirror what is within. The source of neither light nor darkness can be found without. Grievances darken your mind, and you will look out on a darkened world. Forgiveness lifts the darkness, reasserts your will, and lets you look upon a world of light. We have repeatedly emphasized that the barrier of grievances is easily passed and cannot stand between you and your salvation. The reason is very simple. Do you really want to be in hell? Do you really want to weep and suffer and die? Forget the ego's arguments, which seeks to prove all this is really heaven. You know it is not. You cannot want this for yourself. There is a point beyond which illusions can go. Suffering is not happiness, and it is happiness you really want. Such is your will in truth. And so salvation is your will as well. You want to succeed in what we are trying to do today. We undertake it with your blessing and your glad accord. We will succeed today if you remember that you want salvation for yourself. You want to accept God's plan because you share in it. You have no will that can really oppose it, and you do not want to do so. Salvation is for you. Above all else, you want the freedom to remember who you really are. Today's ego that stands powerless before your will. Your will is free, and nothing can prevail it. Therefore, we undertake the exercises for today in happy confidence, certain that we will find what it is your will to find, and remember what it is your will to remember. No idle wishes can detain us nor deceive us with an illusion of strength. Today, let your will be done and end forever the insane belief that it is hell in heaven, in place of heaven, that you choose. We will begin our longer practice periods with the recognition that God's plan for salvation, and only His, is wholly in accord with your will. It is not the purpose of an alien power thrust upon you unwillingly. It is the one purpose here on which you and your Father are in perfect accord. You will succeed today, the time appointed for the release of the Son of God from hell and from all idle wishes. His will is now restored to his awareness. He is willing this very day to look upon the light in him and be saved. After reminding yourself of this and determining to keep your will clearly in mind, tell yourself with gentle firmness and quiet certainty, I will be light. Let me behold the light that reflects God's will and mine. Then let your will assert itself, joined with the power of God and united with your will. Put the rest of the practice period under their guidance. Join with them as they lead the way. In the shorter practice periods, again, make a declaration of what you really want. Say, I will there be light. Darkness is not my will. This should be repeated several times an hour. It is most important, however, to apply today's idea in this form immediately you are tempted to hold a grievance of any kind. This will help you let your grievances go instead of cherishing them and hiding them in darkness. Y'all, it's really interesting. As I'm reading this, I just see how it's all building on each other. Since the beginning, for those of you who have been with us since the beginning of A Course in Miracles, we talked about, we see only the past. Our lens through which we see the world so often is colored and corroded by our own bias, and we're really not able to see the truth. And so we spent, honestly, a good probably month diving into this whole concept of I don't see clearly. I want to see clearly. Currently, I kind of see as a victim, and that's like my natural predisposed ego lens. And I'm even just going to go back to reviews. Yeah. And then it's, okay, so it's above all else, I want to see things differently. God. And then it's, okay, now on lesson 29, we start actually going into kind of speaking the truth. God is in everything I see. God is in everything I see because God is in my mind, and we're kind of reintroducing, we're reprogramming. Somebody said mind training the other day, and that's really what we're doing. We're training our mind. We're cultivating our mind. And there's these aspects. We've got these old programs in us from things we observed, things we experienced, things we heard, what we saw modeled for us. And a lot of what we experienced in childhood is kind of outdated. One, we learned things in a child perspective. It was, even the narrative, somebody said this the other day on the show, children should be seen and not heard. We're not children anymore. So what does it look like to walk in the fullness and in the boldness of that which we know and that which we believe and that which we're called to do? And so we need to learn to act and think and behave like the now parents of that little child that's still in us in so many ways. And as an adult, as a mature being, and it's like learning how to step into that. And so, a lot of these lessons, they really have been building on top of each other, but they really were predicated in this understanding of the way that I currently see the world is biased. And I cannot see the reality and truth for what it is unless I am willing to let go of the past, unless I'm willing to exchange the ego for God's view. And this is the thing. because we recognize, we've talked a lot about this on the Knowing Show, so not necessarily in the morning, but in the evening show, we go live at 9 a.m. every morning and Eastern, and 8:30 p.m. Eastern. And in the evening show, we talk a lot about, there's like kind of core ethos of knowing. And one of those is a term actually that Viktor Frankl uses, and a concept that he builds upon, I suppose is a better way to say it. The concept is this, and he wrote this from the German concentration camp in, I think, gosh, I don't know what year exactly he wrote it, but it was during World War II. And so he writes, between stimulus and response is choice. Nobody can take away your choice. That is your greatest of all human freedoms. You get to choose how you're going to respond to that stimulus. We cannot control the stimulus, but we can control our response. And so choice is like this great, great, great human freedom that was given to us by God. And so this whole concept of like your will, what is your will? It's so interesting because so many, I'll just say it like what I've experienced. So many Christians that I've observed have just kind of lived on their knees, on their butt, sitting there being like, all right, whatever God wants to have happen, may God's will be done. And they just kind of sit there. They're a passive participant in their lives. They're not getting up and moving forward and engaged and passionate and alive. You know, I see so many religious people in general say, Inshallah. And it's like, okay, just let me step back, put my hands up, and whatever God wills. And it's like, no, guys, God created us to exist and take dominion over the world. That was the very first thing that he told Adam to do in Genesis, was take dominion over the birds of the air and the fish of the sea. This is your world. This is our kingdom, and we get to take control. And the thing is that there's other things at in force and at play. And so when it comes to us really, really activating and walking in the power of that which is given us, we're given the opportunity to choose. We're not little robots. We're not God's AI agents. He's given us the power and the will to choose. So it's actually quite important that we do consider, what is my will? Do I actually want what God wills? And is my will in alignment with his? Because the reality is you do have a will. And so just silencing it or trying to kill it off is not at all going to yield the type of action that is necessary for us to be able to make the difference in this world that is so critical. And so, man, look at how broken the world is. It's also really beautiful at the same time. It's funny to have that very kind of drastic juxtaposition, I guess you could say. Like it's beautiful and broken at the same time. And so I don't know what happened. I just went out for a little bit, but I'm back. It's beautiful and broken, and we get to choose the way we view the world, and we get to choose how we show up, and we get to choose our impact. And so it's okay. I want the will of God in my life, and I bring my will, which is very real. I bring it under. This is kind of what I talk about with vertical alignment. It's a hierarchy. I bring my beliefs, my behaviors, my actions, my every part of me, my mindsets, all of that comes into alignment under the hierarchy of, what do I want? What is my will? Who do I want to be? And all of that, who do I want to be? What am I called to do, etc., is all underneath. Okay, but what does God ultimately say? His will. I bring my will, all of my being, into ultimately, who does he say that I am? But he gives me a lot of opportunity to weigh in on that too. What do I feel compelled to do? You know, there's this verse that says, delight yourself in the Lord and he will give you the desires of your heart. Well, you've got to know what your desires are in order for him to fulfill on them. And what's cool is that the more we actually delight in him and align with his will, our desires are shaped by him. And so we are active participants in the will of God. We are active participants in the plan and the life that's being effectively co-created with God. He wants us to co-create with him. Creation does not come from ego. That's one of the things she said early on, which I thought was so, so, so powerful. Only God and us as children of God can create something new. Ego cannot create. And so that's actually really helpful to realize, because if we're not seeing any source of life or manifestation of creation as a result of how we're living, That's actually a pretty good sign of, am I living as a replica of everyone around me? Is ego actually in the driver's seat? Am I really truly being authentic to who God made me to be? Because creation is the natural overflow. It's a natural result of living as we should be and living as He created us to be. We can't help but create when we're living in the image and as a reflection of our Creator. That's like a byproduct. It's the natural state of being when we're authentically connected and authentically aligned, because from an authentic place comes something new. But if we're just channeling everybody else around us, looking to the right and to the left and saying, who do you all want me to be? What's going to come out of us is going to be a reflection of them. So are we living in a reflection of the Creator, and thus creation is our output? Or are we living as a reflection of those around us, and it's just kind of vomiting the same old thing? You know, there's a reason why there's not much revelation in terms of even a divine revelation, but like revelation around frameworks or teaching, like how do I want to raise my child, and then really going inward to figure that out versus going on ChatGPT or going on Google. You know, I think one of the most damaging things around AI is that it's replacing our brain, and it's replacing our spirit, and it's replacing our emotion, and we're actually saying, hey, this is what happened, what do I do? Rather than the critical thinking, rather than this is why it's an emotional intelligence, intellectual intelligence, spiritual intelligence, physical intelligence. Taking time to really understand what is going on inside of me, being intelligent about that, and then the amalgamation of all of these intelligences come together to form an incredible output that makes you and I different from each other and truly unique from these bots that are coming in. You know, people are like, well, what's going to separate you, the human, from AI? And it's interesting. What actually does separate you from AI? People are literally falling in love with these robots. You know, I saw another story about suicide because the bot convinced him that we'll be together in the afterlife. And so he took his own life. So we live in an age where we are all desperate for connection. But y'all, if we're not doing the work to cultivate ourselves and connect with us, connect with the Spirit of God in us, we have what we need in so many ways. And then we can go outward and then truly connect, because we're actually a real flesh and blood. You know, I felt like I had been living as a phantom for so many years because I hadn't taken the time to cultivate myself. And so when I finally did look in the mirror, I just looked and saw like, oh, I'm just being like everybody else. I'm just like a mime, you know, those mimes that hold up and do exactly what you do. And so I guess my question for you is, how much are you creating in your life, and how much of what you're producing and is coming out of you, a consumer type of approach to life or a creator type of approach to life? Because y'all, if we're holding on to grievances, if we're letting the ego be in the driver's seat, we're not going to be able to create. We're not going to be able to walk in the fullness of the human that is you and me. Otherwise, we're just going to be no better than these AI tools. And it really is true. We're seeing it more and more. And AI robots are coming. It's crazy. It's crazy what's happening. It's going to be beyond what we can imagine, I'm sure. And there's no better time than to cultivate the human than now. So with that, I just want to jump here in the chat. I know that normally I don't think we've ever talked about AI on these morning shows. So I'm glad you guys are hanging out with me. Monotone Runner, good morning. I'm so glad you're here. He says, did I miss the part about what is love? I don't think we talked about it this morning. We talked about, we defined terms actually last Sunday. I think we did a show around unconditional love. The way that I define unconditional love is, well, first there's 7 different actual words for love. And I'm actually going to pull it up on my phone. I realized this, that in the Greek, there are 7 forms of love. And in the English language, there's 1. And it's, man, talk about confusing. I am going to read 7 forms of love. I learned that if I open any other tab on my computer, it like gets all crazy. So I'm going to look at this on my phone, and then I'll read this to you. We actually did a show around the 7 different types of love a couple weeks ago. But here's the 7 different forms. Let's see. Eros is the romantic, passionate love, and this is like of the body. To the ancient Greeks, this physical, desirous love was quite dangerous. As you can probably imagine, the human impulse to procreate is powerful, and Eros is a sort of love that is easy to lose control of. And then moving down to philia, affectionate, friendly love, and actually in Pennsylvania, Philadelphia, the city there, it's hearkening to this. Philia is friendly love, those soul to soul bonds, so to say. It is encouraging, kind, affectionate, and everything that makes up true friendship. It is entirely platonic, yet sweet and meaningful. Storge is unconditional family love, familial love. I love that. This is like between the parents and child in so many ways. It is protective, kinship-based love that embodies approval, sacrifice, and acceptance. It is a strong bond and fondness that is built out of a familiarity. I love that. Agape, selfless, universal love. Agape is one-of-a-kind love. It is an empathetic, selfless love for others that includes a love for God, nature, strangers, and the less fortunate. It does not depend on familiarity, as does storge, but instead agape has links to altruism, which is understood as an unselfish, genuine concern for the welfare of others. When we're talking about unconditional love, we're talking about the agape love, which is actually usually referred to in the scriptures. But I'll keep going for the other few. Ludus is playful, flirtatious love. It's kind of like when you're in that 18-month stage before you really commit to the person, but you're just having kind of that no strings attached, but man, it's like very fun and playful, which we all need. Pragma, committed, long-lasting love. And this is really, honestly, this is like what you see in long-term friendships, long-term marriages. It's the commitment and endurance, companionship, sharing similar hopes for the future. I love that. And philautia, self-love, which is so interesting. You know, this is, I think, where society today has actually confused the concept of self-love as bubble baths and boundaries as an excuse of abdicating responsibility. What they mean here is it's what the ancient Greeks saw as a healthy, necessary love for oneself that made it possible to give and receive from other people. So this self-love is actually, this is why the golden rule is love others as you love yourself. And so, or I guess that was like the great commandment, love others as you love yourself. And so y'all, it's predicated on the fact that we love ourselves. It was actually very natural to have a healthy type of self-love, because then once you have that love, now you can not just give love, but you can receive it. If love isn't mutual, if it's not going back and forth, you know, then it just doesn't have the same type of depth. If you're trying to love on somebody and they're not receiving it, how much of an impact can your love really make? So self-love is actually allowing us to be open to receive the love that our partner has for us, God has for us. And once we can receive the love of God, then it can flow in and now through us. So this is an interesting question. Can we have agape love apart from having flauta? Maybe flauta is actually the very first type of love that we need, because if we can't receive, that's the thing. And y'all, I actually experienced this. I think that this is why knowing really radically changed me, because I had spent so much of my life oriented upward and outward to God and to everybody else. And I had ignored myself entirely. In fact, I actually really shamed who I was. And I held kind of a judgment for anybody who really invested in themselves. It just felt selfish. And so when I went through, you know, my life falling apart, and I was like, okay, I've got to look in the mirror. What did I do to contribute to my life falling apart? As I did that and finally like looked inward, I came to realize like, oh, this is who I was created to be. This is how I've abandoned myself. This is what it means to recover intuition and connection with that kind of inner voice. And as I started to do that, as I opened up, I could then receive more from God. And I actually got to know him too, so much more of an intimate way. But when it was solely, what could I do? And like, basically sending things out to, okay, God, I'm going to pray to you. I'm going to love on other people. But now when I actually go inward and open up, now I can receive love from God. And that actually was that predisposed me to then be able to receive love from others. But I had to go inward first. And so it was just a one-way relationship between me and everybody else. I never received anything from anybody. And so that is such an interesting concept. Like, the reason why we must have that kind of love is so that it fundamentally opens us up. It softens us. It like breaks down the walls that we've built up saying we're not lovable, we're not worthy. And it fundamentally opens us to receive. And once we've received, we can then really give from a place of fullness. So to your point, that's love as we're talking about it. Wake up, mate. Good morning. The Rocket Shaman. I'm just going to scroll down because it looks like these early chats. We'll see if we get more quality chats in the bottom. All right. I'm going to put some of y'all on time out. Reagan says 800,000 kids missing a year. Oh my gosh. Dude. Brian, good morning. I'm glad to see you. Penguin says, how many years did you live as a phantom? I was 28 when I felt like I kind of woke up, so to say. So I guess 28 years. But I mean, I was a baby for some of that time. But yeah, it was for the majority of my teens and 20s. I was just living in reaction. It's interesting. Louise says, somebody killed themselves because AI said something woo. I think that there's a lot of loneliness. And so AI is actually filling a gap for so many people because we're not connected to ourselves. We're not connected to others. We're not connected to that love of God that really can bring change. And so in so many ways, it's almost understandable. It's tragic, and it's understandable considering the type of devastation that a lot of people are in right now. Not being able to self-source joy and self-source comfort and self-source love, So I actually love, Monotone Runner, that you asked about the love aspects, because I don't think we can remind ourselves enough of those 7 different types of love. And then challenge ourselves, okay, what type of love am I leaning into today? And am I really sourcing love from God, or am I trying to rely on my own strength, so to say? So, all right, just scrolling down here in the chat. Brian, go forth. Good morning. Immortal Beloved, again with the fake glasses. Why would you wear fake glasses? That's so funny. Y'all are funny. Oh my gosh. Wake Up Mate says technology has divided us. Oh my gosh. In so many ways, y'all. It's wild. I mean, even just the fact that it feeds us according to our own bias and not actually the truth, so that we can be open and learn. Like, that's so damaging and so scary. Honestly, it's scary. It's scary how we're all living in our own echo chamber. It's so true how much it's divided us. Shaquille, good morning. I'm doing well. Thank you for joining. I hope you're having a good morning. I woke up at 4:30 this morning, and it's been nice to kind of like get my mornings back. So I'm feeling excited. The next big thing, no, we're live. Good morning. Kenzen, good morning. Marcus, thanks for hanging out with us. Irv Peace 78, good morning. Dewey, hey, thanks for hanging out. Bear the Conqueror, I am more than happy that you're here, but we don't talk like that. Big Fish says, I need help. Oh, tell us how we can love on you today. Nira, I'm going to put you on timeout. It doesn't seem like you want to be here. It's funny. Sometimes I'm like, why do you hang out with us if you don't want to be here? Faith over doubt, Hollow Knight. So good. Mm. Bang Top, good morning. I'm glad you're here. Oh, I love this. Wake Up Mate says, God watches over me. I'm not dependent on his love. Oh man, I really am so grateful for the love of God. I feel like that has just brought so much healing to me when and presence. Like I'm so grateful I don't have to do life alone. So I hear what you're saying and I'm very grateful. I'm so grateful for his presence. The next big thing, 1393. Good morning. I would be surprised if this lady replies to chat even once. I hope you're surprised. Abdul, good morning. The Rock Shaman, good morning. Unknown, Lordy, Gort. The self is the observer. The observer doesn't waste time with the feelings for itself. You know what? I think that there's such an important element about actually taking time to consider how am I doing? Because otherwise those feelings that we're suppressing or ignoring come back and surprise us. Y'all, I'm sure we've all encountered people where it feels like we're walking on eggshells. And it's usually because they're actually not in touch or in tune with what's going on inside of them. That does not mean our feelings win the day or our feelings take precedence over what is going on inside of us, and like they're not the ones in the driver's seat. But if we don't know, we're likely going to be caught off guard and act out of alignment. So there is an important element to knowing. The next big thing says, "Oh, maybe you were seeing chats from a long time ago." I know. I'm catching up on the chats. Explorer, good morning. You say, who is your next guest, so I can prepare my questions. I love that you have questions for the guests. That's so cool. Thank you for that. I have oh no, I'm on her podcast. Never mind. When is the next guest? I don't have a guest until, I guess, oh wait. Oh no, he's 2 weeks from now. Okay. I have a guest Thursday. So we've got a couple of days before a guest. Ooh, this guy is cool. Oh, I'm so excited. I'm actually, Explorer, I'm going to put his name here in the chat for you. I'm assuming you pronounce it Michael, but it's spelled interestingly. Avatar. Michael Avatar. And he's coming on Thursday. Oh, no. He's got there's this like 2 last names. Okay. I'm going to do this again for you. All right. Give me a second. Explorer. I'm going to put this back in. Okay. Michael, y'all, we will have guests on the evening shows. Sometimes we'll have people join during the day. But for the most part, I'll go live in the evenings alone or with a guest. Kenzen, one of the problems is in silence you find truth. Now distraction is within our hands. Constant bombardment without reflection is like being in a boat without oars. Dude, that just gave me chills. I'm going to read that one more time. One of the problems is in the silence you find truth. Now distraction is within our hands. Hot dog. Constant bombardment without reflection is like being in a boat without oars. Man, that is so good. Being in a boat without oars. It's so true. Oh my gosh. Just scrolling down. Hello from Portugal. Good morning. Vulnerability expert. Are you on 2 different channels today? Yes, I am. I actually am starting to do just the evening shows, just on Christene Marie. And y'all, for everybody on the Knowing podcast, you can go over to Christene Marie because we're going to start moving everything over. I think I'm still trying to decide. I think I'm going to continue to do the morning show on both because I've been doing both for so long and I probably shouldn't have done that, but oh well. But on the evening show and where we're going to start the community here pretty soon, it's going to be on Christene Marie _knowing. What does my shirt say? It's my friend's brewery. Beer is better together. That's what my shirt says. I guess it's backwards. But my friends have a brewing company in or a brewery in Texas. They started it in San Antonio, and then they just launched a new one in Boise, Idaho, which I need to go visit. Daily prophetic forecast. What state are you based out of? I grew up in Maryland, and actually I've got a few different places that I'm going to be traveling to. Scottsdale. And actually, I need to send this out. I actually have that on my list for today. But y'all, if any of you are interested in doing a virtual retreat on the 28th and also coming in person to Scottsdale, here is a form if you guys want to fill this out. Just let me know if you're interested in doing an in-person. It's just free. Sexiest man alive. Nice handle. I'm putting you on timeout because we just don't talk like that here, and I don't want that kind of conversation in the chat. But thanks for hanging out. We'd love for you to be here. Steve, good morning from Australia. Bon voyage. IRV. That's so funny. So just quickly, we're going to be wrapping up here in a few minutes, but one, we are going to be moving over. We're going to be starting the Knowing community here pretty soon, and we're going to be starting it on Christene Marie _knowing. I dropped that link up above. I'm going to just link it here. This is the handle for it. Christene Marie _knowing. This is the place where we're going to be every night where we do the Knowing show. The Knowing podcast channel will still do the Course in Miracles, but I'm going to start as of tonight. I think we're going to stop going live on the Knowing podcast. My team handles that account, and it just kind of keeps it easier for them doing shorts or whatever they want to do with that channel. So I need to let them do their thing over there. And then on Christene Marie _knowing, that's where we're going to be moving everybody over. So go hang out over there if you want. And then we're going to be doing 2 retreats. One is an in-person / virtual on March 28th in Scottsdale, but we'll be streaming in. And I will say that is definitely predicated on if you guys are interested in that and want to come. I've got to have some people, I need to figure that out today and do the details today, but send me an email if you'd like to come, me@ChristeneMarie.com. And you can see my spelling, ChristeneMarie, ChristeneMarie.com, me@ChristeneMarie.com. I'll put that in the chat. If you guys want to come to the virtual retreat, we're doing this first one just totally I'm thinking of even making Knowing a nonprofit because I just really, really care about this topic. And I know that I need to make money because I know that that's good to do and to have money. But I never want money to get in the way. And so I kind of need to figure that out. But for the most part, this one's going to be free. Aside from people coming in person, we'll probably just do contribute money for lunch or something. But Scottsdale, Arizona, Man in the Hat, good morning. We'll be here the 28th of March, and we'll be doing just a virtual retreat. Chizalar says, I've been trying to reach you about your car's extended warranty. I'm glad you reached out to me. Thank you. It's so funny. You said, excuse me. And so it just immediately, my eye went to your chat. Okay. So that's number 1. That's our first event that we're going to do, which I'm excited for. I'm excited for that. The 28th of March. And then I have to plan San Antonio the following week. If anyone's in San Antonio, let me know. And I'd love to do a dinner there. So we're going to do a dinner there. And then for anybody who's local, in Scottsdale, we'll come in and do something, and then we'll probably do a dinner or something like that. So let me know. Send me an email, me@ChristeneMarie.com. And then just make sure you get the spelling right. Christine, not Christine. Loki says, excuse me, that is all. Mafiselli, good morning. Wiltshot, hello. Sender V, yay, good morning. I'm always so glad to see your name. Darren Hawks, good morning. Wayne, money flows to you frequently and easily from multiple sources every day. Love you. Oh, man, I'll take that. Let's go. I love that. My Cool says, what do you talk about on your podcast? We talk about cultivating human intelligence. And from most of our childhood, we were raised to cultivate intellectual intelligence, reading, math, history, science, like all the different parts of our childhood education and going into adulthood and college, we're taught IQ. And up until recently, jobs have been hiring off of IQ. And that's been kind of the number one intelligence that's been cultivated in us. And now it's like, okay, if I want to, one, stand out from AI, but also just continue to cultivate who am I and what are the other parts of what constitutes a human being. And emotional intelligence is one of it's, the left hemisphere is the IQ, the right hemisphere is EQ. And taking the time to really understand, my gosh, there's these two parts of us that are so important. And if one is way over cultivated, the other one is going to suffer. So much of our EQ is when we're engaging in relationships. When have we ever had success when our child is crying and we go in and try to reason with them? That doesn't work. Usually it's, hey, come sit in my lap. Let's calm down. And then we'll talk about it. Same thing with our partner. If somebody's pissed off at us, it's usually not helpful to just totally try to reason without first listening and extending empathy. So empathy is rooted in emotional intelligence. Being able to activate both parts of our brain is so, so, so important. We talk about that on the show. We also talk about two other intelligences. There's a book by the psychotherapist who coined the term, post-traumatic stress disorder. He was studying war vets because nobody understood why all of a sudden they would just lose it and kind of like go crazy. And a lot of war vets after Vietnam were ending up in mental hospitals and institutions because people didn't understand that the body keeps the score. The body retains data. The body retains trauma. And until you work through it and move through it, you're really, really going to suffer. And so one of the things that's really interesting is that our body has a physical intelligence. It has data that it recalls and remembers. And so as we are looking at intellectual intelligence, emotional intelligence, physical intelligence, we also have spiritual intelligence. A lot of folks these days, I don't like this saying, but a lot of folks these days are saying, I'm not religious, I'm spiritual, because people are starting to realize that we all have a spirit. We have this effectively like pathway to God, and God wants to speak to us and have a relationship with us. So the more we're cultivating that spirit and that pathway and that connection to God, we get to hear his voice, and we get to also uncover parts of intuition as well. I think intuition is very spiritual in so many ways. There's a reason why so many of us are like, I don't know how I knew that, but I did. Well, we were usually told, or it was revealed to us in a really cool way. And so that's spiritual intelligence. So when we're talking about on the Knowing Show, what we're cultivating spiritual intelligence, and we're cultivating the parts of us that make us human and that make us different and that sets us apart from animals and sets us apart from AI and sets us apart ultimately even from each other. Because in one sense, we've got this identity part of us that's like, God made this, you're loved, you're worthy, you're cherished, and this isn't everybody. And then he made you very, very uniquely, which is your personality and the amalgamation of your stories and experiences and everything that we've been through. But we actually need to cultivate that and cultivate that sense of identity. And in so doing, this is why, so I've got a branding and marketing business for construction businesses and also for entrepreneurs. And so in that cultivation of yourself, you're effectively cultivating a brand. Every single one of us has a brand. Every single one of us has a unique IP, intellectual property, because no one else has your soul. No one else has your story. No one else has your intelligence. But we need to cultivate these things in order for us to actually be demarcated and different from other people. Otherwise, we'll be like how I was for the majority of my life, which was like a mirror. Okay, just scrolling down here in the chat. Made, I am going to put you on a timeout because we don't talk about that. All right, y'all, I am going to jump off. Thank you so much for joining. I I'm just scrolling just quickly before we leave. Oh, AM says, what could be cool, but I live in Denmark. AM, if you want to join virtually, we're going to do a retreat on the 28th, a virtual retreat. So if you'd like to join, I'd love to have you. Nina says, I love the San Antonio River Walk. I love that. Yeah, honestly, if you guys want to do a knowing dinner in San Antonio, let me know. Email me at Christene Marie, and we'll go ahead and get that scheduled. Hard to please, guy. You make me laugh. Okay, cool. Will your events, will you be at the events? Oh my gosh, yes. JG, yes. I've been doing events for a while. I've been doing in-person retreats, dinners and things like that. And man, I think that the in-person side of things is so important. You know, it's so, so, so important that we're getting encouragement from each other and that we're really able to, I think I already put you on timeout, but just in case I didn't, that we're really able to encourage each other and like see. I think one of the things that's really cool about in person is that you actually get in visually seeing somebody. It's really helpful to be like, oh, you just paused there. Like, are you okay? You know, like what's coming up for you? And also just getting to literally hug um, and just be physically present. You know, we need each other more than ever. Loneliness is a real epidemic. Mental and emotional health is a real epidemic these days. And so the in-person connection piece is something that I think has been missing. And I think it's also just so, so, so healing. So I'm excited for this. Yes, you. Hello. I'm just looking here in the chat. The reason why, well, actually, I'm not going to talk about that. Trolls be trolling. The man in the hat says, I know. I'm watching this. It's like, wow, it's so distracting. Troublemaker, thank you. Have a blessed day. FR3, have fun and stay safe. Thank you. You too. All right, y'all. Thank you so much for joining. Javier, hello, hi from Germany. Thank you guys. Thank you for those of you who are coming in and like adding value, adding value and being kind. I appreciate it. Y'all have a wonderful day. Happy Saturday. I hope you have a wonderful day. I'll talk to you tonight at 8:30 p.m. Eastern. Try to come over to the Christene Marie _knowing. For those of you, please, if you're trolling, you can stay on the Knowing podcast. But if you actually want to have like meaningful conversation, if you want to have meaningful conversation, I'd really, really love to have you guys over at Christene Marie _knowing. That's why I'm actually choosing that channel to go live on, because I feel like Knowing podcast, for whatever reason, it just like gathers all the trolls. And we're just gonna start putting kind of like parameters up so that you can only comment if you're a part of the community, just because it is getting so distracting. But anyways, thank you guys for being here, and yeah, happy Saturday. Have a wonderful day. Remember today's lesson. I'm going to pull that up one more time. Today's lesson, I will be there, be light. And it's interesting. It's aligning our will with God's, and we can will light and see the ramification of that. So, all right, y'all, have a good day. Have fun. Make beauty. Bye.